In this video of the basic series, we will have a look on how to organize your workspace in Houdini. The tutorial will include 3 different steps. First, we will see how to arrange a general workspace and how to link different pane tabs together. Then, we will visually adapt our user interface. And last, we will organize and customize elements in the network editor. So, see you in Houdini!
We start by looking at how to structure the workspace. The different layouts of the user interface are called desktops. Depending on your needs, different presets are available here. For instance, we have animate, games, modeling, output, and so on. In our case, what we want to do is to create our own custom desktop. The interface is divided into different panes. You can hide and show them by clicking on these little arrows on the bar, or you can switch its position by clicking on this symbol. To add new panes, you can split the interface. On the upper right corner, you can find this drop-down menu where different options for the panes are listed. For the division, we can choose, for example, split top-bottom. If you have, for example, a second screen, you can also tear off a pane tab and move it to your second screen, as I'm doing, for example, with the scene view. Each pane is further divided into different tabs. You can simply add new tabs related to your needs by this plus icon. In my case, I'm missing the geometry spreadsheet, showing all the attributes of my nodes. You can find it here in the inspectors category. Another thing which can be very useful is to add another network editor and its corresponding parameter tab. This can be very handy, especially when you have a bigger scene or if you need to access both shader and geometry networks. We split both our upper and lower pane in left and right. It automatically copied the previous tab into our new pane, which is what we need. Now clicking through our network, we see that all the tabs update real time to the selection. But we can also make tabs independent one from another. For this, click on this pin icon here in the corner. This works fine for our network view, while resulting useless for the parameters, as we want to know the node's parameters related to the selection of each network view individually. For this we need to link the tabs together. This time right-click on the pin, and here we get now the option to set a number. By setting the related tabs to the same label, we can link them together. Of course, this can also be done for the viewport, as for instance, if we want to display only related outputs from one of the both networks. Now, to save this desktop, we can come back up here and click Save Current Desktop As. Give it a name and click Save. In order to have this desktop as default every time we open Houdini, we need to assign it to the properties. Go to Edit, Preferences, General User Interface. Here in Startup in Desktop, select our new created one. Perfect. So now let's have a look on how to further customize our user interface. Houdini comes with 3 main color schemes. Go to Edit, Color Settings. We have Dark, Light, and Pro. You can also download different ones on this link here. Further, we can customize specifically our viewport. Move to the viewport with the mouse cursor and hit D to open the viewport options. Here you can find all different settings, where you can switch on and off different elements or the display settings of the geometry. I want to show you some of them. For instance, the one which I use the most. We start by the guides, and here you can switch on and off different elements, like for example the origin, or also displaying the FPS rate of your scene. Also object names, and so on. In the Visualizer tab, you can find your custom visualizers, which are a visual representation of the information stored in your geometry. If you want to know how to create and use these visualizers, check out my tutorial about visualizers on my channel. I will post a link in the description. In the Geometry tab, we find the display settings for our geometry. For the particles, we have different display options. And a slider to adjust the size. We can also adjust the size for the lines in the scene, as you see here. Further, in the next step, we can increase or decrease the anti-aliasing of the viewport. Usually, I like to increase it when I render out flipbooks of the scene, as the geometry looks smoother and nicer. In the View tab, we find the camera clipping settings, which you maybe know already from other 3D softwares. In the Background tab, you can change the background color. I usually like to keep it black or gray. If you want, you can also add a background image to the viewport. And if you want to add this image to your camera, you need to select here the camera node, and under the View tab, you can set the background image. Now that our general interface and viewport are set up, we move on to the network view. For a better overview, let's hide for now the additional network editor with its parameter tab. In the case of a more complex scene where we need to switch between different networks, navigating in and out the nodes can be very annoying. Luckily, Houdini comes up with the possibility to set some shortcuts. For example, if we would mainly work in the foreach loop of our structure node and therefore need to come back here all the time, we can position ourselves accordingly and click on Go, set quick mark 1. And now, every time we hit 1 on the keyboard, we get teleported directly to this position. You can set up to 5 shortcuts. Let's set one in the shop network, and another one in the popnet of our particle node. Complex scripts can become very unorganized and spaghetti-like pretty fast. In order to maintain a good overview, we want to keep it visually as clean as possible. Also here, Houdini comes up with a layouting solution. The layouting options can be found here in the layout menu, but for this it is more convenient to remember the shortcuts. The 3 main ones are layouting, aligning and distributing. Let's start with the general layouting. Select a node and hit and keep pressed A. As soon as this alignment icon appears, by dragging in one of the 4 directions, you can tell if it should lay out the connected nodes up, down, left or right. To align the nodes, select the ones you want to align and press and hold Shift and A, and drag again in the corresponding direction. For the distribution, use the Alt and A shortcut. You can also perform alignment and spacing at the same time by pressing Shift, Alt and A. Now that our script is properly layouted, we can look at how to customize the node's shape, color and wire. Let's start with the color. Hit C on your keyboard and now you can either select a node and set the desired color, or you can drag and drop the color directly on your nodes. By right-clicking on the color palette, you can also add custom colors or remove other ones. The same works also for the node's shape. Hit C and here you have a variety of shapes you can apply to your nodes. By keeping pressed Ctrl and dragging the shape or color to a node, you change the default appearance of this node's type. For example, I want that the null node will always be black and with this shape. Now you see that not only all the null nodes changed its shape and color, but also when I add a new null node, it will look accordingly. To change the wire style, simply hit Shift S or go to View and change Network Wiring Style. In Houdini, it's all about keeping a good overview and understanding of your script. Another very useful element in the network editor are sticky nodes. You can either add them by going to Add Sticky Node or simply clicking on this icon here to the right. Inside here you can write nodes, and with this minus sign you can collapse its content. And changing its color through the color palette we saw before. To change the text color, you can also simply drag and drop the color directly on the text. Sticky nodes are also often used to label things. By right-clicking on them, you can set their size, for instance to medium, and also right-click and hide the background. Additionally, I want to show you how small text infos can also be written as comments inside a node. This is very useful if you work in a bigger team or a larger project. Right-click on the node and select Show Node Information. Here in the comment section you can write your text. Close it, and now you see that our node has this little icon attached. By middle mouse clicking on it, you can see its content. To further organize your nodes, you can group them together in a network box. Select the nodes you want to put inside and hit Shift O or select this icon here in the corner. The nice thing here is that you can drag around the full group by just selecting the network box. Further, you can collapse it and also give it a label. The box also resizes automatically if you move the nodes around inside. And to add nodes, you can simply drop them inside. To remove them again, you can drag them out by a fast mouse movement. As last thing, we have a look on how to place a reference image in our editor. Click here on this little image icon and navigate to your source. Once the image is inside the editor, you can select it. To enable its modification, go to Tools, Edit Background Image, or hit Ctrl-I. Now you can move it around, resize it, change its opacity, and also link it to a node. As example, we could add a thumbnail-like image on each GeoNode to know directly its output. If you are now done by customizing your workspace, don't forget to save your desktop.
So, I hope the tutorial has been useful for you, and I will give away the full scene file for free to everyone who helps supporting me in my channel. All you need to do is to share this post on your Instagram story and to tag me. Thanks, and I hope to see you soon. Ciao!